When it comes to Space Marine 2, it seems we're going to have a whole arsenal of weapons, from bolters to plasma, chainswords to thunder hammers, all to play around with in this game. In this video, I want to do a breakdown of every weapon we've seen so far from gameplay footage and trailers. Some of these weapons may surprise you on how lethal they can truly be against the enemies that you are going to face. I want to give a big shout out to a chap called Liam K for his email. It really helped me with some of these talking points. Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. Let's start with the ranged weapons and one of the most Space Marine commonly used weapons we've seen in the trailer to purge your enemies with, and that is the bolters. This game is absolutely packed with them. We have many different combinations we see in the gameplay, such as bolt rifle, auto bolt rifle, stalker bolt rifle, heavy bolt rifle, heavy bolter, bolt carbine, instigator bolt carbine, bolt sniper rifle, bolt pistol, and heavy bolt pistol. Now, even though these weapons more or less fire the same type of ammunition, each has its own purpose on the battlefield. Each will affect enemies in different ways. Some will be great for clearing the big swarms of Xenos that we see, and others are going to be taken to bring down more of the armored foes that you'll come across on the battlefield. Now, with the footage in the background, we can truly get some great information about some of these weapons and how effective they truly are. Just a word of warning, everything we've seen so far in terms of gameplay for Space Marine 2 is officially a work in progress and is subject to change, so don't be surprised on the launch of the game that some of the stuff we're going to talk about works differently in the final version. Straight away we can see that Titus in this footage is using the Primaris bolt rifle. The icon at the bottom of the screen indicates that. Its total ammo reserve is 150, with the magazine holding 25 bolt rounds. The bolter seems to fire in a semi-automatic state and seems to do little damage against the more armored warrior types in this gameplay footage anyway. I personally think that this gun and its counterparts are more or less aimed at clearing the swarms of Tyranids in this game. Also, something to note, in the single player campaign, even though the bolt rifle has a scope, we never get to see down it. Either this is merely for show at this stage, or the production hasn't coded it in to the game system. Just before we move on to the other variant of the bolt rifle, I want to briefly talk about the bolt pistol and the heavy bolt pistol. This seems to be the only weapon in the single player campaign that will have infinite ammo and a magazine size confirmed of 8. From the gameplay that is running in the background, it appears that the heavy bolt pistol helps to stun/stagger targets for a more effective execution takedown. Moving on to the auto bolt rifle, this is a variant of the bolt rifle with a bigger magazine capacity, carrying 35 bolt rounds. When you have this version equipped, it does show that you can carry more ammunition into battle as well. Altogether, you have access to 245 bolt rounds. This gun appears to do less damage against the Xenos enemies in the single player campaign, but does have that higher fire rate than the standard bolt rifle. I would probably recommend that this weapon is for the bigger swarms of Tyranids, and it will assist you more than clearing those than the standard Primaris bolt rifle. The last rifle we have is the Stalker bolt rifle, and the only time we get to see the Stalker bolt rifle is with the new Space Marine 2 PvP and cooperations trailer. As you can see in the background, we have a lot of stats with this one. This weapon is described as scoped, high-powered, and semi-automatic. We get to see other stats on the screen as well. It seems that the stats are measured from 1 to 10, 1 being bad and 10 being the best, and we get to see that with the firepower, which is rated at 5, so that is in the middle. Accuracy is 10, which makes sense because this is a Stalker bolt rifle, so it does have that range. It's designed to be a sniper rifle on the battlefield. Rate of fire is 2, so very, very low. Reloading speed is 5, again average in the middle. Piercing is 4, just below average, and the range is 10. Again, since it's designed to be a sniper type of weapon on the battlefield, I can understand why the range and the accuracy are 10, and the other stats fall below that. This weapon has a magazine capacity of 12 and an ammo reserve of 48. And while we're on this screen, it's also best to point out that each weapon will have its own experience bar, as you can see at the bottom. I theorize that the more kills you get with this, the more XP you get to spend on different upgrades, because each weapon does have a tier system starting from standard, then that goes to mastercrafted, then artificer, and then it finishes at relic. According to the information in the background, each tier system offers you a different version of that gun. Again, I theorize this could be different stats or merely different skins. If we compare the Stalker bolt rifle to the bolt carbine, you can see how each weapon will differ. The bolt carbine is a much smaller bolter compared to the normal bolt rifle, and the stats show us why. Its firepower is rated at 1, so it won't be bringing down targets as fast. It's not that accurate with a rating of 3, but it has a high rate of firepower and is faster reloaded. This is designed for really close encounters with your foes, more or less when the enemy is right upon you but not yet in melee range. It also has some unlocks as the other weapons in terms of tier systems and XP. Now before we jump onto the other weapons, let's end it with the biggest bolters of them all, the heavy bolt rifle and the heavy bolter. Again, when it comes to the single player campaign mode, it seems that Titus and his squad can equip these weapons while wearing their normal Mark X armor, but for the co-op operation / PvP game modes, the heavy class must be selected to use these more heavier weapon types. The footage in the background is taken from the single player campaign and gives us a look how the heavy bolter performs. It seems it has a magazine capacity of 200, and when fired, it seems to increase its rate of fire the more you hold down the trigger. The stopping power of this weapon is absolutely perfect for the biggest swarms of Xenos that you're going to be fighting in this game. Every shot seems to be a kill shot. It does seem to have some type of overheat mechanic according to the red circle that builds up the more you shoot, so you can't just hold your trigger down until all the rounds are spent. We also get small glimpses of the heavy bolt rifle in the co-op operation mode. We see it wielded by the Gravis player. Sadly, we don't get to see it from the player's point of view, but it more or less confirms that heavy weapons like this and the heavy rifle and other weapons like melters are designed for that heavy class. Something that we do see from the trailer is the heavy bolt rifle stats. We get to see its different variants, and we also see it described as fully automatic and a mid-range rifle, and the stats that accompany it, it has a fire rate of 2+. I don't know what the plus means at this point. Maybe the more you hold it down, the more rate of fire it goes up. Accuracy is 4+, rate of fire is 5, reload is 4, piercing is 4, and range is 6. It carries 45 bolt shells in its magazine and has an ammo reserve of 224. Moving on from the bolt weapons to the plasma incinerator. Moving on from the bolters, let's talk about plasma weapons, the first being the plasma incinerator. We do get a brief clip of this weapon in-game and also a full stat breakdown with the new trailer. This weapon is much like the bolt rifle in terms of variants. It has a couple, but they are not shown in any footage as of yet. We just have the plasma incinerator variant. As you can see, this weapon has a firepower rating of 4, accuracy is 6, rate of fire is 2, but it also has a venting system which is rated at 4. This means, just like the tabletop, using this gun will have a chance of overheating and exploding, which may kill your character or take a big hit of your health. The range of the weapon is 7 and the magazine capacity is 100 65. We also do get a glimpse of a plasma pistol. We get a little bit of a clip of it in the trailer, and we also see it, if I'm not mistaken, attached to the Bulwark class. So if you're playing that Bulwark class, it does seem to confirm that you will be able to take plasma weapons in your loadout. Now, one thing to note on all these weapons is the skin customization. This is going to be a big part of the game. We've already seen different variants of these weapons with cooler skins that make your weapons really stand out on the battlefield. I feel like in co-op operation and in PvP modes, these skins are going to inform people how much of a badass you truly are in the game. Remember, this game will have season passes and DLC. It's confirmed it won't have a cash shop. I'm going to do a dedicated video on that and explore it more, but for now, please remember what the developers have stated, and this is the quote that they stated. Players will be able to customize their Space Marines from helm to greaves with a wide selection of colors, heraldry decals, pauldrons, gauntlets, and more. The season pass will grant them even more cosmetics, while new content like missions, enemies, and weapons will be available to all players through regular free updates. This means skins are not all locked behind paywalls. You're going to be able to earn stuff via in-game and the free updates and skill-based performances. Another thing is Stims and Grenades, and we get to see from the in-game footage in the background that you get a maximum of 3 grenades in the single-player campaign mode. I haven't seen any other type of footage that confirms more can be carried at this point. It seems that you will get different variants, as some are frag-based and some provide some type of scans and buffs to your battle brothers as you fight against Xenos enemies. Something else that is new in Space Marine 2 is health stims. Technically, we did have health stims in the PvP of Space Marine 1, but these health stims can be picked up while you're doing your single player missions and used as you're about to fall on the battlefield. If I recall correctly, this is quite different from the original game, because in that game you got health by killing enemies using special executions. It made you not hide in terrain and push you out into the swarm of orcs and do the best you could to wipe them out. And switching from range combat in the game, one of the most glorious aspects of Warhammer 40,000 is melee combat, and it seems that this game is going to let us channel our inner World Eater in both ways. Most of the footage we've seen from the campaign features glorious melee executions. We've seen weapons such as the chainsword that rips your enemy apart in chunks. We've seen via the co-op operations the mighty thunder hammer smashing down any foes that stand in front of you. This game is going to have more of these iconic weapons such as the combat knives, the power swords, axes, and hopefully maces. And even though we've seen countless gameplay clips of these melee weapons, we've seen nothing from them stats wise. I'm really interested to see how all this comes together, because melee in Warhammer 40,000 is one of my favourite aspects. And I feel like we've only seen the tip of the iceberg when it comes to weapons in Space Marine 2. We still have iconic weapons like Stormbolters, Flamers, Heavy Flamers, Plasma Cannon, Grav Guns, Autocannons, Missile Launchers, Boltstorm Gauntlets, the Pyroblasters, the Flame Gauntlets, the Lasfuelists, the Shotguns, the Assault Cannons, the Las Cannons, right? All these epic, iconic weapons we have yet to see, and hopefully within the coming weeks and months leading up to the release of the game, we're going to see some of this amazing things. Anyway, Chaperonios, thank you for coming to this Space Marine 2 weapon breakdown video. I would love to get your feedback on this. Did I miss a weapon? Is this something that you want to see more of? Is this something that you're going to use in game? What is your favorite weapon in the Space Marine arsenal? Post it down below and we can have a nice little chin wag down there as we always do. See ya, have a great day wherever you are in the world, and bye bye.